Triangle proportionality theorem. If a line parallel to one side of the triangle intersects the other two sides, then it divides the sides into two sides proportionally. Then it divides the two sides proportionally. So it means TR over TQ is going to be the same proportion as RU over US. So these sides are going to be proportional in their overall segments. And the converse of it is true. If a line divides two sides of a triangle proportionally, then it is parallel to the third side. So if the proportion for A to B is the same as C to D, then TU has to be parallel to QS. So let's look at an example of this here. So if we look at this triangle, and in this diagram, QS and UT are parallel. RS is 4, ST is 6, QU is 9, but we don't know the length of RQ. But because of our triangle proportionality theorem, it states that RQX over QU is going to be the same proportion as RS over ST. So our X over 9 is going to be the same as 4 over 6. Now, what do we need to do first to get X by itself? We need to multiply both sides by 9. Because here the 9 and 9 will cancel, leaving X by itself. And the only thing we need to do now is 4 over 6 times 9. So we can say 4 over 6 times 9, which is 6. So X is 6, or we can say that RQ is equal to 6. Not really. I'll take either one. But really we're saying that RQ, the length of RQ is 6. Questions on this here? Let's look at the next one. Find the length of YZ. So we want to find this length here. Now because WY and VZ are parallel, it means that this length is proportional to this one. And this length is proportional to this one. And if we have proportionality, we have two fractions. Now again, it's going to be helpful if X is in the numerator. So we can say this is what? X over 36. So it's our X, this length over the other part of the line is equal to, what would go on top? 35, yes, over 44. Because we use the lower part of the triangle, so we would also need the lower part of the triangle on the other one as well. Because we need them to mirror each other. Because we used ZY first on top, so the other fraction would have VW on top. Because we need it proportional, we need them the same parts. Now at this point here, we would multiply both sides by. These would cancel, giving us X by itself. 35 over 44 being multiplied by 36 is 28.64. Questions on this here? Yeah. So fractional, it's 35 over 11. or 28.636363.
Are we allowed to do that? Can we switch the answer to decimal if we want?
Fractionally, it's 28 and 7/11ths, but either one works. Questions on this here? In the diagram, we have this here. WZ is parallel to XY. And we're wanting to find the length of VW. So how would we set this up? Proportionality, so we have two fractions. We would have x over 12, because this part of the line
Can you explain this to me?
over here.
It has to be on the same line.
Because if a line is parallel to one side, we have T, U, and QS, intersect the other two, they're parallel, then it divides the two sides proportionally. So this part over this part is going to be proportional to C over D. Yep, so it divides the lines proportionally. So here, x over 9 will be the same proportion as 4 over 6. Here, we had it flipped, but xy over, or zy over yx is going to be the same as vw over wx. Here, we'd have x over 12 is the same as what? 10 over 8. Well, no. So, what would we do next? So any questions on how we set this up first? So our next step would be to, exactly, multiply both sides by 12. Because here the 12 and 12 would cancel. Now we can say 10 over 8 times 12 is 15. So x is, so our VW is 15. Questions on any of this here? Any questions on any of this here? On the shoe rack, BA, the length of BA is 33 centimeters. The length of CB is 27 centimeters. CD is 44 centimeters, and DE is 25 centimeters. Explain why the shelf is not parallel to the floor. So, if BD and AE, if these are going to be parallel, then, so, if a line divides two sides of a triangle, proportionally, so A over B is the same as C over D, then it is parallel to the third side. Then these two sides are parallel. So looking at this here, well, if BD is going to be parallel to AE, the third side, then the two sides, or the parts that it cut, have to be proportional. So we'd have to say what? 27 over should be proportional, the same as so what is 27 over 33? Well, 27 divided by 33 is, there's a fraction, it is 9/11ths. 44 over 25. is. So are these two proportional? No. Since the sides are not proportional to each other, it is not parallel. But for the one side of the triangle, which side is bigger? The top or the bottom? The bottom. So most likely they're not going to be proportional, because if AB is the bigger length, then DE should also be the bigger length. So, using the diagram in example 2. So, we'll fill in the side lengths and go from there. So, BA is 35. CB is 25. CD is 20. DE is 28. So, let's look at the proportionality. So, for one of them, we would have what? Okay. So, what would, for CBBA, which number would we put on top? 35, and it would be over 25. So 35 over 25, 25 over 35.
20 over 28 or would be bigger?
So 28 over 25. Or 28 over 20. Since we used the 35 on top of the first one, we have to use the similar one on the other, 28. So 35 over 25. 35 over 25 is 705. Okay. Let's do 28 over 20. Is so can we say that it is parallel to the floor? Yes, because the two parts are proportional. Yeah. Picture is not. So we just grabbed the picture from here. So we're just reusing it. Questions on this here? Now I believe this here is the last theorem. Make sure all that ends in the trash can. Okay, there's one more. Now looking at this here, if three parallel lines intersect two transversals, they divide the transversals proportionally. So what we're saying is UW, we can call this A, over WY is going to be proportionally or the same proportion as VX over XZ. So I could say A over B is the same as C over D. So we have this still proportionality. The lengths of these are still going to be proportional. They're going to be the same. So if we look at an example of this here in the diagram, angles 1, 2, and 3 are congruent. They're the same. GF is 120. DE is 150. CD is 300. Find the distance HF between Main Street and South Main Street. So we want to find this whole distance. But we need to find what distance first? GH, yes? Now what we said from the last theorem, this length over this length will be the same as this one over this one. So we can say X over what? Is going to be the same as? Yes. Now what can we do next? Multiply both sides by 120. These will 300 over 120, wasn't it? Or is it 150? And we're multiplying it by 120 is yes. Because G to H would be 240, but the total distance of HF is going to be 360 because we have to add 120 and 240 together, and 120 plus 240 is 360. Questions on this here? Questions on anything we've done so far? In the diagram, ADE, BEF, and CFG are congruent. We're just saying these three lines are parallel. AD is 30, BC is 12, and DE is 35. Find DF. So they want us to find the whole length. So we can say x over 35 is equal to so which length did we use first? The smaller or the bigger?
Smaller.
So which one would we go first? Yes. Because we want to keep it proportional the same. So since we're looking for the smaller amount, we should expect x to be smaller or bigger than 35? Smaller. Now we can multiply both sides by 35. Here, the 35 and 35 would. So we're going to do 12 over 30 times
14.
is 14. So we need to add those together. 35 plus 14 is. So DF is 49. Any questions on any of this here? Any questions on anything we've done so far? Mm-hmm. So it asks for DF. So it wanted the whole length. No, you're good. So sometimes they'll do that, especially they'll do it probably on the homework, or especially on the ACT. They'll ask you to find a certain length, but so always look for what it's asking for. The beep, beep, beep?
Yes.
No.
Oh, is that?
Mm-hmm. It's saying that these are about to die. The battery's going dead.
Battery charger?
Yes. Any questions on this here? So here, let's do this one here. So we're looking for JM. So we'd have x over what? Is equal to? To get x by itself, we would indeed multiply both sides by 16. These here would cancel. So 18 over 15. And we're going to multiply that by 16 and get 6 over 5. Where x is, well, it actually wouldn't be approximate. That would be a pretty nice number. 96 over 5 is either one of those will work. Any questions on any of this here? We feel good with all this so far. The angle bisector theorem. If a ray bisects an angle of a triangle, then it divides the opposite side into segments whose lengths are proportional to the lengths of the other two sides. So what we're saying is AD over BD, so the two segments that were cut, are proportional to CA over CB. So this segment over this is equal to this segment over this, or vice versa. So we're saying A over B is going to be the same as C over D. AB, AD, yeah, AD, DB. You're good. And then CA over CB. Now, if we'd have written it the other way and said BD over DA, we would just flip both. So let's see how this works. So this side length over this side is going to be the same proportion as this side length over this one. So we do need to find QR. Well, QR, the whole length is 15. So we need to do 15 minus is, so we just need to find that. Luckily, we can just subtract 15 from 9.75. Now to set up the proportion, I have x over what? X over 13 is equal to 5.25 over 9.75. So we will need to multiply both sides by 13. These will cancel. 5.25 over 9.75 is being multiplied by questions on this here. Yeah, I rewrote it a little bit. I need to fix that. So we're finding x. Now, I think, here. I do come back, we will come back to this one. But I want to look at the others first before we get to it. Any questions on this here? So let's look at another one of these here. So we're wanting to find the length of CD. Why? So the proportionality that we would have would be what? Y over because we use this segment first, we need to use that one first and the other. Any questions on how we set this up? Now we're going to multiply both sides by. These will, so we have 63 over 42. 63 over 42 times is so y is, and that's it. Any questions on this here? So here, yeah, why not? So then you say x over 14 is equal to, then we would multiply both sides by 14. 48 over 24 multiplied by is So x is 28. Any other questions on this here?
Do you like Lord?
Hmm?
Lord? Do you like the seniors?
Not off the top of my head.
Don't know her?
Probably.
You know the girl who sings Lord? I will never be, you know?
So here we have y over what? 4 square root of 2 is equal to 4 over. So we need to do what? Actually, we might not need to, because what's 4 over 4? So, any other questions on this here? And I believe that brings us to the last problem, yes? So this one here, I didn't include it in, but I'm going to go on and look at it with y'all. So this is the original problem that we were going to look at. Now, one of our proportions is going to be 13 over 7. So we can say 13 over 7, 7 over 13. But since we use 13 on top, the other top is going to be x. What is the length of the other side? So 15 is the whole, but we need QR. So if the whole length is 15, if this whole length is 15, and this part is x, what would we say this is?
Why?
Well, how would I find it? We could say, what, 15?
Minus x.
So this here we have to set up a little different.
How many times it?
So we're going to multiply both sides by.
Oh, we gotta,
Because 15 minus x will cancel out with these here, yes? Do all the fractions simplify out? Well, 13 over 7 reduce nicely. Now, so what can I do to make 13 over 7 be nicer? Because if I multiply the other side by 7, this 7 and this 7 will. What I do to one side, I have to do to the. So on the left-hand side, we're going to have 7x.
Logan Russell come to the office. Layton and Logan Russell come to the office.
So on the one side, we have 7 times x. That's not too bad. That's just 7x, yes? On the other side, we'll need to distribute the 13. Thirteen times 15 is minus 13x. Then what would we do next? 13x to both sides. And divided by 20, yes. Now we just need to see what 195 divided by 20 is. So the missing length that we were looking for is that surprising? So this is what it would originally done, but I rewrote it so that it did work out the other way. That's it.